Alright, so here's just a quick little update on what's been going on. I got some parts in. Part of them were the car parts. The car was missing parts and it wasn't working properly. Got those installed. I got the car set properly. I got my mechanic to do that because there's no information on setting those online. He just kind of explained, different screws and stuff, because that is a pretty big carb. Lots of screws and adjusters. I also got a coolant tank and breather in that. I still have to feed the hoses to that, but that was part of my cooling system that didn't come with the bike. Got a skid plate for the bottom. Then there is, I got different rubber hardware things. It's hard to remember. There's lots of little things that I needed to get. So that all came in. That was installed. My new battery, my new CDI. And, I'd expect it to fire up, and it didn't. And I was, what it could be? I've got fuel, I got spark, I sure hope I have compression, but you know what, compression was the last thing. And we did a pull start with this squad, and normally when I do pull starts, I just have the guy in here, me or whoever, holding onto a rope, and as soon as I pop it into gear, I let go, hoping that this will focus on controlling this, keeping revs up, all that, and the other guy get out of my way kind of thing. But this time I just did a direct tie, and we went ripping down the driveway, and we pop it into gear, and as long as this thing was pulling it, it would run. It sounded pretty good. The engine was running, but as soon as I stopped with that guy, or as soon as Dad would pull in the clutch and try and keep revs up, it would just die. And we're like, so it wants to run, what's the problem? Weak spark. Did a spark test. Now, a lot of guys think spark test, you gotta hold this, get a good ground, unpainted surface. I thought that. But, a good spark should be able to spark from 1/4 inch to 3/16 away from the metal, like the ground. So you want to see, don't do the frame, make sure the engine's grounded, do it on the engine. Make sure it double checks that your engine is grounded, and see how far you can pull away from metal without with still having a spark. So I did that, and I got away 5/8 of an inch from the engine, and I still had a solid spark. So spark isn't the issue. It's not an electrical issue, it's not a fuel issue, it's not a spark issue. And compression's kind of the last thing, and I really wasn't hoping it was compression or timing. So I popped open the cover, and I will just show you. I did it on this one first, but I'll show you on the old engine. And here's your two cams. You have one cam there, and the other cam here. This is the exhaust cam, this is the intake cam, valves, and so this is how you do your valve clearancing, by the way, but that's a different thing. So you're supposed to be able to tell timing. Now, I'll just quickly show you how to do this, but you want to find top dead center. So, see there's that little groove right there, just right at the top, and this is on the housing. There it is. So you see that groove? Now inside, on the flywheel, there is a groove as well, and you're out here with your flashlight, and you have a 17mm socket on here, and you're just slowly turning the engine until you get that groove lined up with that groove, and you'll get it perfect very easily. So then when you have top dead center there, I'll come back to the other engine because you can see a little better. Then there's different marks on the cam wheels. So as you can see, there's a mark there, there's a mark there, and there's a mark there, and the other one's somewhere down in here. But basically what you want to do is, when you have it top dead center, you should have a mark lining up with the housing on both sides, and then another mark here and another mark here. And that was the timing was way out. It didn't even make sense when you looked at it. So the timing's out, and my chain on the other one, this is slack just because the tensioner's not in, but my chain on the other one was way too slack, and I thought, oh, the tensioner's not working. Pull the tensioner out, the tensioner's working just fine. and the chain has been somehow stretched. I don't know, like the manual tells you how to check the tensioner, and the tensioner is working fine, but the chain somehow got stretched, and it just, you know, the tensioner won't even bring it taut. You are supposed to have some slack. I believe it's 1/4 inch to 3/16, and you tell that by putting a ruler down and then seeing how far it will go up and down. But this was just way too much, and this is on this engine a lot more than it has now, but way too much slack. It was just way slack. And what was happening is the cam wheels, a couple teeth had skipped over because of how slack it was, which messed up the timing, right? Because this chain is what keeps your cams in time. So that was the problem, and my tensioner is fine. I checked it on the other engine, and then I have to change the timing chain, and basically you can pull all this off, and then what you have is you have a this is part of the flywheel, and this is all on the shaft here, right? And how to get that off is you need a flywheel puller. Yamaha makes one, many different brands make one. This thread is 33 mil, believe it or not. And I was all like, oh, I'm not going to spend the 40 bucks. I have a welder, I can make one. So I went out and bought a drop off my local scrap yard for 2 bucks. It fits over there, 1.5 inches on the inside. And I was going to get my 33 mil nut and tack it on there, weld it on, and then obviously I was going to cut this, you know, to a smaller size that would fit, you know, work there better. And then I was going to, on the top of that, I was going to put a washer and tack it on. And then I was going to put a nut and tack my nut on in the dead center. And then I have this bolt, and by pressing down on this bolt with this threaded on, I am, you know, with this pushing down on the shaft, which is pulling out on the flywheel, and the flywheel will, you know, pull right off. And, you know, I had all this, and I checked about 5 different places, like every place where I live, and nobody has a 33 mil nut. Like, it's just way too big. Like, a car lug is 22 mil. And everybody's like, yeah, sorry, I, you know, can't get that. Which is a pain. But, I just called my mechanic, and he's like, yeah, just bring it in tonight. Just, you know, we can keep it on the trailer and everything. I'll just quickly pop it off both engines, and you can take it home and do your stuff with the chain. So that was nice. But yeah, we're gonna pop the chain off, swap out the chains, put everything back together, and that should be it fixed. Another concern when I thought is maybe the dump valve wasn't working. Maybe it was dumping at the wrong time. Basically, what the dump valve is, it dumps out some of the compression, you know, exhaust. What is it, ahead of time when you're idling, and then, you know, it doesn't work when you're, you know, revving up. But when you're idling, what it does is there's a thing on the cam and it dumps compression. So I'm not an expert on that, but you just have to make sure the spring is working properly and that it was dumping. We just wanted to make sure it was dumping at the right time, because if it's dumping too soon or too late, then you're losing compression that way. But believe we have compression, and it was a timing issue. So hopefully that's the last problem. We'll do that timing chain swap tonight. Hopefully you'll get some camera footage, but honestly, you have your 2 hands right in it when you're doing a swap, and it's a little hard to get footage. But anyhow, it is what it is. That's your little update. I don't like doing updates. I really like getting, I don't like watching updates on YouTube. I like doing all the work, or seeing the work being done, and that's what I like. That's what I want to make, because that's what I enjoy watching. I think other people enjoy watching that too. But you know what? I decided to give you an update, and we'll try and get some filming of us actually working on it. Hey guys, so now we're going to do the timing chain. First, I'm taking the old one off of the old motor. That is better than the one in my new one, although it's not that great. And I'm just going to film on this motor because it's a little easier to see for the camera. I'm going to try and take you guys along for this as long as my camera battery and memory life allows. Anyway, with that being said, let's get started. Now on this engine I'm not too picky, but on the one I'm going to be putting it on, everything has to be torqued down properly once we're done. But you're going to have to remove these anyway, the cam covers, so just go ahead, remove those, and then you can, covers off, cams will come out of the way, and then you just have a loose chain here. Choke. What was that sound? I don't think you need the choke.
Yeah, maybe.
Did you hear that like snap or?
Up top?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got there right.
I did not plan on going that far, actually. I was like gonna turn around at Oakdale. Oh, I'm going slow. That was like,
Yeah. That Brad leak there, whatever you want to call it, it's
sauce. I just don't know why it's burning oil like so bad. I wonder what you do. You take this off from the pores. Look, there's no hot oil coming out of either of the plugs, Dad.
No.
So it's burning it on its way out. That way it makes sense.
Yeah, because usually when there's blow-by, like oil getting into, like if the head gasket is fried, then if the head gasket is fried, then the oil comes through and then there's blow-by, right? Which means that you don't have blow-by because, yeah. Is there something going on?
Yeah, I would have kept on going, except there's cars piling out of there like crazy.
What?
There's that.
What?
There's cars piling out of there.
Yeah, there's like almost the whole parking lot was filled.
Probably a funeral or something.
No,
Wasn't-
but there's work vans there.
Oh, I'm pretty sure today was like the work day.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was. I heard something about
Okay,
it.
Samuel, I'll race you. Oh, your dog's been inside. That's where it's been.
Hi, Daddy.
He just came out of the
Yeah,
house.
I'm going over there.
Okay.
Mom wants to know if you should go to later.
No,
Because they asked all of the things.
that's cool.
That's how
I can't, yeah, I can't help people because I'm too stuck up. And when I see someone doing something wrong, it's so hard for me to comment, and then they think they're right.
That thing's
Come on,
Bentley, go.
come on, Bentley.
it's loud.
Hi, Olivia, how are you? Oh, she's gone around the corner.
Do you think it's a head gasket?
Are you gonna take the water pump off of this one?
Why? This is mine. Hey, how does this work?
Yeah.
Hey, that's a good idea. Dad? Water pump? Thanks for the idea.
Hey, welcome.
Oh, this
Once
thing.
you're done stripping
Dude,
that
this
engine,
thing's still filming around. Alright, so I'm going to do a bit of a recap. It's been a while since, well, a while and a couple days since I got it going and took it out for a ride.